In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Your Domains functionality of EthTools.com. This is essentially management functionality for any domain names that you have won in auction using the ENS service. It can be accessed from clicking the ENS dropdown and selecting Your Domains. When you win an auction, it's automatically imported onto this page. And if you win an auction using another service, you can click this Add Domain button to add the domain to your EthTools.com account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Manage to manage this domain name, and you are presented with a number of options. Firstly, we can see that the domain is owned by this address, an address which I control the private key for. So I can call any of these functions to make modifications to, for example, the owner or the resolver contract. If I no longer had access to that account, I could go ahead and delete the domain from my EthTools account because there would be no point having it in my account if I could no longer change anything associated with it. So here you'll see the Modify Resolver Contract option. This essentially tells the Ethereum Name Service which contract you want to handle domain resolution. When I say domain resolution, I mean which contract you want to tell any interface how it's going to convert testing 1234567.eth into an Ethereum address. Of course, you need to set this before you can tell any contract which address it actually resolves to. So we will go ahead and do this. You're presented with a form where you can set a resolver contract, or you can specify a custom one. We're going to use the public resolver because this is the most simple. And this contract essentially is very simple and simply says that your domain name should be redirected to an Ethereum address that you specify. So we will click on Set Resolver, and we're asked to load a wallet to sign this transaction. I will grab the mnemonic for that account, and I will complete this form. I do not want to save, so I will now be sent back to this page. I can click on Set Resolver, and the transaction will be submitted. Now we simply need to wait for that to confirm. Again, if you are logged in, which at this point you will be because you're managing your domains, you will see that this transaction has been added to your transactions, and you will also be able to see when it's mined through this interface. Because confirmation is not instantaneous, the transaction obviously needs to be mined. This process may take a few moments, and it has now completed. So we can now see that the resolver contract is set. This is the address of the public resolver on the Ropsten test network. And now the resolution address option has become available to us. So what I want to do is I want to make it so this domain name redirects to this Ethereum address. So I will copy that address, and I will click on Modify Address. Here I am presented with an input where I specify which address I want the domain to resolve to. If, for example, I wanted one domain name to resolve to another domain name, I could do that too. For example, I can enter in this text area testing.eth, and the service will, of course, not work because I've used capitals, but if I type it in correctly, it will resolve to this address. So I would be telling the contract to resolve this domain name to this address. For purposes of this example, I'm going to change it back to my address and click Set Resolution Address. Again, this needs to be confirmed on the blockchain, so we have to wait a moment. We can once again see the transaction in the Your Transactions section. Hopefully it won't take too long to resolve, and you will be redirected back to the index of the management page. We will just wait for that process to confirm, and then I will demonstrate that the resolver contract has been set, the resolution address has been set, and that the domain name in question does in fact resolve to this inputted address. Transaction is taking a little longer than usual, but it has now completed. We can see the address that it resolves to, and now if I go ahead and copy this domain name, I can type it into the search box in the top corner, click search, and it should resolve to the address that I just set. We can see that it does resolve, and we will now be redirected. And yeah, so that's a basic overview of how to use the Your Domains interface and how to set a resolution contract and an address.